rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for our men and women serving overseas and all the victims of COVID-19.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law have been satisfied concerning this meeting. The annual notice was published in the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, on December 18th, 2020. A copy of the schedule was posted on the municipal bulletin board. It should be so noted in the minutes of this meeting. Councilman Spiller. Here. Councilman Ficarra.
Here.
Councilwoman Meehan.
Here.
Councilwoman Drum. Councilman Patel.
Here.
Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman De Jesus.
Here.
Vice President Bauer. Here. And President Small.
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from April 20th, 2021?
Motion?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beginning with second reading ordinances this evening, Mr. President, I'm going to start with letters A and B. We're going to take them both by consent. Both ordinances are bond ordinances. One is in the amount of $4,750,000 for replacement equipment and acquisition of new and additional replacement equipment and machinery, and the second is in the amount of $1,250,000 for the body cameras. With that said, can I get a motion that these two ordinances be taken up on second and third reading and a public hearing be opened?
Motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letters A and B. A and B.
Vice President Ken Gardner, 101 Store Avenue, Woodbridge. If you could just, I heard Mr. Mitch give a little bit of explanation. Letter A is to purchase machinery, you said, for $4,750,000. What is it for?
Various public improvements.
Okay. Can I ask what they are, and then if Mr. President, yourself or your designee, Mr. Mitchell, whoever would like, just when we're having this, so I don't have to ask it on every one to waste your time or anybody's, maybe just more of a layman's term, one or two sentence explanation on what each ordinance is going to have a public hearing on. So what type of machinery are we getting? I mean, is this new trucks to plow the streets, or?
Following improvements: a storage building for the police department and public works. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses, Mr. Gardner, so bear with me.
Mr. Mitch has this.
Mr. Mitch has this. Sorry.
I borrowed this. Okay. Installation of a storage building for the police department at the police tow yard. Design phase and construction in addition to the DPW garage. In addition to improvements at the athletic field of Woodbridge Middle School, lighting upgrades at Field 1 and 2 at Cloney Middle School, electrical and site improvements at the Scout Pavilion, electrical improvements at the skate park, improvements to the cricket field at Avenel Middle School, green infrastructure projects, which include the installation of additional rain gardens and drainage and tree plantings at various locations, and additional other items. There are some the replacing your question on equipment and machinery for public works within the division of sewers and roads, which include a front end loader and a paving machine.
Thank you. Mr. President, I really appreciate that. It's very helpful. And I would just ask that whether anybody's sitting in the audience or not, people are watching at home, and a similar explanation can be given for each ordinance so people know what's being voted on. I appreciate it. In addition, when you group the ordinances together, are you then giving the public 10 minutes to speak, or how does that work?
You can continue on both ordinances.
For 10 minutes, okay. Just because, at a previous meeting, I guess I asked a lot of questions or got no answers, and it drifted where I didn't get a chance to go into the second ordinance. So if there could be some separation of those, I appreciate that as well. Thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it.
Any other comments on letters A and B? A and B only.
He says over here, moving to $750,000 to make a down payment. I go, how much the whole council, the whole thing will cost?
Ordinance B. He's talking about Ordinance B.
400, the amount that's listed, Mr. Vitaric.
Right?
The amount that's listed.
Which says 4,750,000. The cost that they are to make a down payment to authorize this.
Mr. Semaluka?
How much that?
The down payment, Mr. Vitaric, is the down payment to issuance of the bond ordinance. It's just a down payment. It's to ensure the bond ordinance.
To insure, but how much it cost the whole this thing that Mr. Mitch mentioned? How much over is it cost? The last time?
4.7?
It's also cost.
Any other comments on letters A or B?
Good evening, Paul Lon, Oak Lawn. Just regarding the 4,750,000, I was wondering, is there a place where a resident can go to get an itemized breakdown of all those items and how much is allocated for each? I guess in some budget somewhere?
The breakdown actually can be found on our website. It's been up there since the introduction, so you can see a breakdown of it.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on letters A and B?
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused there, a little late to the party too, but this A on the bond ordinance, John, is that what's going to cost us to have an issue? Or is that the entire issue that you're making?
It's the entire issue.
Is that the underwriting cost?
That's the entire issue.
That's the entire issue?
Yes, sir.
Who's underwriting? Who's going to be sales manager?
I don't have that in front of me.
No, just asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on letters A or B? A or B?
I'd like to speak on letter B.
Sir, your name?
Crystal, Middlesex County, am I recognized?
Oh, yeah.
Recognized?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to speak on, I'm actually surprised how many people are bringing up the bond ordinance with police body cameras. This is what they wanted for a long time, and suddenly they have no comments on that. I mean, they could use this time, anyone in the audience, to speak about how they feel about the body cams, if they're pro-body camera, anti-body camera. B, bond ordinance to authorize the acquisition of body cameras and related equipment for the use of police department and for the Township of Woodbridge in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,250. How many body cameras are they buying? I think, they should allocate more funds. I don't know, 1,250 seems like, what, 4 or 5 cameras? Certainly not the whole police department.
That's 1,250,000.
1 million? I can't see very well on my paper. To pay the cost thereof. How many body cameras for 1 million?
I'm going to say over 200. Mr. Semaluka?
Good, it's a good investment. Now members of the public aren't going to be accused of doing things that they might not have done and then forced to pay a lawyer money they don't even have to get out of trouble for something they didn't even do. Body cameras can also protect even police officers. There's times members of the public can falsely accuse a police officer, and it could, so there's benefits, on both ends there. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I know at least one or two members of the public that may want to speak about this, maybe on filibustering to get them to think about to come up here too. But yeah, the last time I was here, the reason why I'm pro body camera is because actually the very last time I was here, I believe while I was speaking, and I had the floor, my civil rights were violated, Lozman versus Riviera Beach Supreme Court ruling. I had to turn off my body camera as I went, my camera as I went in the basement. None of the cops had body cameras. It's not required here in Woodbridge. So at that point in time, that officer can just accuse you of doing anything. I'm going to feel more safe coming to Woodbridge knowing that all cops are going to be wearing the body cameras, they're going to be held accountable at all times. Yet, I'm actually surprised to even see this ordinance today. Ms. Elizabeth De Jesus, I'd like to let you know, yeah, that was the last time I was here. You were town council president, and God bless America, you're not the town council president anymore, because I do believe that you violated my civil rights. I didn't say anything out of the norm. Once my time starts, it's illegal to interrupt me, to mute me, to have police officers to drag me out, and that's when the incident occurred, my horror story, where...
Sir, you have to talk on the ordinance
Talk
only.
about body cameras, okay, and that's where my horror story began that day, because, hey, illegally thrown in, cop not has a body camera, that can cost somebody like me $5,000 plus just to prove my own innocence. Nobody should have to come to council meeting, no matter what their belief is, and have to worry about a police officer to remove them from the building because one council member may or may not like what they're saying. Everyone has to be treated equally, but back on the, how many minutes do I have right now?
As long as you're speaking on the ordinance.
Okay. Yeah, who introduced this ordinance? Who was the councilman that?
The administration did.
The administrator, Mayor McCormick introduced this?
The administration and Mayor McCormick.
Okay, well, good job on the Woodbridge government. I mean, it's been too long. This is something that should have been done years ago, but, you know, at least it's finally getting done. And I'm going to yield my time just in case any members of the public may want to speak about the body camera. Now's the time to do it. You can speak about body camera and police interactions without wasting your public comments time. Thank you.
Are there any other comments on letters A or B?
John McDonough again. I guess it's definitely for years there was talk about it, to get us cameras, but people objected to it. I think it's a great idea. You just can't stop one lawsuit or somebody really go through problems to get it. And of course, to keep everybody more at check, to police, to individuals, to whether because the big crowd is watching it. I think it's a good investment. There is an investment. Why it costs so much? Because it's worth it, whatever it takes. And keep up to it, update it, whatever you can do, because for protection of citizens. You got a stand over here, you don't know who's coming, who's going. It's not the same with its residents. So people will stop, do things and go. But those things are great, the officers for their protection. And again, talk about the cameras. I think police officer with uniform on is more danger than anybody. If you're civilian clothes, as soon as you become a uniform man, you are at risk. So cameras are one thing. If something happens, the man gets hurt or something, there still be a film on it. So I think it's a great investment in this because
Are there any other comments on letters A or B? A or B only? Hearing no other comments, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed and both ordinances be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law? Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We're going to take letters C and D also by consent. Both of these ordinances designate redevelopment plans. The first one is the KSB 6 redevelopment plan, which is the Midco property, and letter D is the Area 7 redevelopment plan for downtown Woodbridge, which is 106 Main Street and 103 North James Street. That said, can I get a motion to take these up on second and third reading? Motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have. The public hearing is now open on letters C and D only.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ken Gardner, 101 Stoner Avenue, Woodbridge. So KSB, Area 6, what are we doing on that property? What's the plan?
Ms. Levski, Ms. Darden, I beg your pardon.
So the plan calls for industrial uses to be permitted much in the same vein of what's already been permitted in the rest of KSB and the KSB development plan over the last couple decades.
Okay, so we're not changing the use at all, but why are we redeveloping this area? Is it a blighted area? Are we going to then have any tax breaks that come as a conjunction, or next step to this? I know that things can go down in pieces and the council's just told, oh, this is just a part, or, so what's the whole plan?
So the redevelopment plan establishes uses, and this redevelopment plan broadens the industrial uses permitted in the specific identified area. And what I'm saying to you is that it's much the same as other uses that have, this is KSB 6, so KSB Port Ready, which started in 1996, which updated and broadened the uses from the 1970 land use ordinance, and then KSB 1 through 5 that came before. This is KSB 6, and it's permitting much the same uses, keeping the zoning of the area up to date. That's what
I'm sorry,
the
Mr.
plan
President, I appreciate that Mrs. Darden's given me a detailed answer, but I was asking if there's a plan to give tax abatements on these properties or some type of tax break. I'm sure the administration, no, this is well thought out. I'm sure that the administration thought this out.
Mr. Gardner? Mr. Gardner, she was answering your question.
Yeah, but Mr. President, I have 5 minutes, and she's telling me about 1970.
Council President, to answer Mr. Gardner's question, there's no plan at this time.
So we're just opening that up. Okay, how about we'll talk about Woodbridge now. Downtown Woodbridge area, number 7. Are we planning, what is this doing here?
Ms. Starr?
Mr. Mitch indicated to you what the specific properties were. This is zoning update. You know, as we discussed at previous meetings, and now for almost a decade and a half, what type of uses are permitted in the downtown. I'm answering your question. The redevelopment plan is specifically the zoning guidelines. That is all that's in the redevelopment plan.
So what's being, if this has been in place since 50 years or whatever, why are we voting on it tonight? What's happening different tonight that the council's voting to make a change? There's got to be a change or something new. It's not about 1970. It's about now. So what's happening now?
It's about changing the zoning standards. Again, in the downtown, this is Area 7. Each of the previous 6, we've discussed them at length. This updates the standards much the same as the previous 6, which has been studied and done for about a decade and a half. It's not new. What's new is we did a study of specific properties, designated the properties, and now we're adopting a new zoning plan, which is the redevelopment plan. So that's what's happening here.
Okay, and this is, it's 107 Main, it's 107 Main, and the property right behind it, or what?
No, it's
106 Main.
So just for clarification, it's 106 Main and 103 North James. With that being said, Mr. Gardner, the plans in detail are on the website. I mean, we're not going to lay out detail here. We're just voting on this ordinance as Mrs. Darden laid out. So, and the plans specifically, if you want to see them specifically, they're in detail on the website.
Mr. President, I beg your pardon, but this is, as Mr. Mitch would say, the public hearing as required by law. It is required by law to talk about it now. Not for me to come to town hall last week or next week or any other week. I'm allowed to come here. It's a public hearing required by law. So any question that has to do with this particular ordinance we should be getting a full detail. And again, even if nobody's sitting in any of these seats, the meetings are televised for people to watch. So, you know, saying downtown Woodbridge Area 7 redevelopment plan, I'm sorry, but I think I'm fairly educated in municipal government, and, you know, there's more details to that. So what are we doing with 106 or 107? And what are we doing with the property behind it? What is the intention?
106 is the old bank.
Right.
There's interest in that building to become a restaurant. Okay?
So why do we, I mean, businesses and restaurants are allowed on Main Street already, right? I mean, that's not a new use. So what is this ordinance allowing us to do that's different? Something is happening.
I think Mrs. Darden laid it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know.
we're adopting your zoning standard. I get that that's not a sufficient answer for you, but in accordance with the study that we've done in the last 15 years of the downtown and all the planning and master planning, this is the zoning standard.
Okay. Is there the possibility that either one of these properties is going to include new apartments?
Yes?
Okay. So if it's going to have more apartments, Mr. President, I would ask the council to vote no. That, you know, to take all this other subject matter, let's just, I think we can get into one sentence. If it's for apartments, please vote no. Thank you.
Are there any other comments under letters C and D? C and D only.
John Woodbridge. On the letter D, on the area 7, on James Street, there's two houses behind the gas stations. Are those houses owned, is it for individual families, for single families, or they owned by the township?
That's not this ordinance.
I know, but not the ordinance.
We're only talking about this ordinance.
That's the houses you're talking about, right?
No. This is, on James Street, it's a vacant piece of land.
Piece of land, but it's not a new house.
It's a vacant piece of land.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any other comments on C and D?
Hold on. If I was listening to Ms. Darden correctly, on KSB 6 redevelopment plan, I heard industrial and broaden as far as the zoning is concerned. And I heard from this fine gentleman that there's no plan associated with that, as opposed to the one in Woodbridge. I just want to know what broaden means. Is it going to allow industrial hazardous waste? Is it going to allow something that I should be concerned with as a resident of Hopelon, neighboring very close to the KSB?
Ms. Darden?
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Broaden in terms of updating the uses that has been done on other properties in KSB, in areas 1 through 5, and in line with the already existing M1, M2 standards, which was the previous zoning. And so just update uses, nothing hazardous, nothing noxious, nothing at all like that.
Okay. And without any specific power plant or some kind of facility, another recycling facility, nothing specific in mind that would be on the website. You're broadening the ordinance, updating it without any particular physical plant in mind or any development specific in mind, i.e. a plan of some kind.
I.e. what?
A plan. This is a plan,
This
some kind of plan for
is just
development.
industrial uses. There's no applications, there's nothing at this time.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Are there any other comments on letters C or D? C or D only? Here are no other comments. Getting a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law. Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We will take letters E, F, and G as consent. These are the approvals of traffic signals at the following intersections. The first is Wood Avenue South in Island at 100 Wood Avenue in Metro Park Corporate Plaza, Park Drive, The second is Wood Avenue South at the Prudential Hilton driveway. And the third is Wood Avenue South at the Siemens Hilton driveway. Can I get the motion that the public hearing be open on E, F, and G?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letters E, F, and G, E, F, and G only.
Paul Dunn, Oak Lawn. These traffic signals, I seem to recall having traveled that part of Wood Avenue, South Wood Avenue, and I thought I remember there are already traffic signals at the Prudential, at the Hilton, and I'm assuming that there, is that the case?
There are already traffic signals there, yes.
So these are just replacing the ones that are there?
Correct.
Okay.
These are updating those that are there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the three ordinances be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll now take letters H and I by consent. These are both ordinances, amendments to Chapter 7, which is our traffic ordinances. The first is to add handicap parking on Loretta Street. One is to delete handicap parking on Bamford Avenue. And the second ordinance is to add handicap on Walter Drive. That said, can I get a motion that the ordinances be taken up on second and third reading and the public hearing be open?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The public hearing is now open on letters H and I only. Hearing no comment from the public, can I get a motion that the public hearing be closed, the ordinance be adopted and submitted to the mayor for approval as required by law?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We'll take letters J and K by consent, first reading ordinances. Can I get a motion that the ordinance be passed on first reading, published in the Home Tribune on Friday, May 7, 2021. The public hearing to be on May 18, 2021 at 6 p.m.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. President, you have resolutions 1 through 21 in front of you. I'll be pulling number 10 and 11. With that said, can I get a motion to approve the rest of the resolutions?
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments from council?
Mr. Mitch, I'd just like to ask my fellow councilmates for their consideration and support on resolutions 14 and 15. This is the area along the Route 1 corridor, specifically the Avenel and Americana motels. The area has long needed a facelift, and this will continue our mission to redevelop the Route 1 corridor. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. President.
Thank you. This time we'll go into our public session of our meeting. You have 5 minutes. Go up to the mic, one-time limit. If you're filming, please stay in the box. No, you're fine.
Don't touch the mic.
Please, leave the mic alone, please.
Oh, I thought you said yeah.
Oh.
All right. Crystal Middlesex County, am I recognized? Okay. The wave of protest prompted by the death of George Floyd has become an open, violent assault on the integrity of the American socio-political order. Antifa, anarchists, communists, and progressives have declared war on the police, on political institutions, and on the very fabric of society. At first, the Black Lives Matter movement started with vandalizing and defacing the statues of Confederate generals. This happened to General Robert E. Lee, whose statue was removed from Richmond. But in bizarre irony, and as a testament to the lack of education by the Democrats on the far left, the supporters of Black Lives Matter tore down the statue of Ulysses S. Grant in San Francisco. As general in the Army of the Union, he fought to abolish slavery. Desecration of monuments didn't stop with Civil War-era generals. Black Lives Matter decapitated one statue of Columbus in Boston, and another one was torn down and thrown into a nearby lake in Richmond on June 9th. According to them, he was a violent colonizer. So even discovering America can't save him from the wrath of the movement. Columbus was not the only one whose memory was trampled on. On June 19th, the statue of George Washington was set on fire and torn down in Portland. BLM were quite unequivocal. Washington, one of the founding fathers of America, first president of the United States, was a racist slave owner. A statue of Thomas Jefferson, another founding father and third president of the USA, was torn down in Brooklyn. All these acts are not only violent and disrupting in nature, attacks against national heroes and founding fathers of the United States undermine the national identity of the country. They dissolve the bonds that tie the citizens together. They shatter the pillars of the constitutional, political, and social order of America and plunge the nation into anarchy and total chaos. This twisted, morally bankrupt, violent, anti-racist movement causes relentless, incurable harm to the entire nation. The vandals and madmen attacking the symbols of USA are supported by not just the left-wing liberal press, but also by one of the two major American political camps, the Democratic Party. Some of them speak out openly in favor of the violence, and some of them enable it by staying silent and refusing to call out evil, enabling it through passive inaction. This irresponsible behavior contributes to the weakening of the American identity. The destruction doesn't end here. By now, it isn't just American symbols that come under attack. Now Christian symbols are also being attacked. The statue of the missionary priest, Father Juniper Serra, who was recently canonized, was torn down for being a colonizer. A leading Black Lives Matter activist, he happens to be a white guy, Sean King, has called for the destruction of every statue and image which depicts Jesus Christ as a white man, because that too is a tool of oppression. The American far left have been attacking the founders and national heroes of this country, the American flag, and more recently the symbols of Christianity. They know no bounds in spreading their satanic ideology. These foolish, irresponsible actions will not lead to building a better, more perfect world. Instead, they are crushing the dream that made America the most free and strongest country in the world. How much time do I have left, Council President?
A minute 30.
I'm in?
A minute 30.
A minute and 30 seconds. Great. So, yeah, that's what I have to say on that. Lisbeth DeHace, to her plaque still says Council President right there. You're lying to members of the public. She's not the Council President. I think there has to be a correction. On her plaque, it has to reflect the reality of the world that we live in today. Her privilege was removed at the reorg meeting. Her plaque must reflect that. Which is why I don't like what I've been saying, you know. We had members of the public, they could have came up here and spoke about the body cam. They didn't even want to do that. I'll be waiting to hear in public comments what people have to say. I want to tell Jimmy D and some members of the Woodbridge Municipal Government, I missed every single one of you, especially Jimmy Dabrowski, you know. Sometimes you don't know how much you love something until you don't see it for such a long time, you know. And I haven't seen you guys in so many months, and I'm like, even you, Councilman Kyle Anderson, I want to throw you some love bombs. I believe at the last meeting, I heard about the Perth Amboy, the kids riding the bikes in Perth Amboy. I was upset. I didn't get to see the video. I found out at the last meeting, you know, you said not everything's about race. I commend you for that.
Thank you, sir.
Recall my time, you know.
Just a reminder, we do have people out in the hallway, so if anybody wants to speak and possibly give up their seat.
I can stay and record till then, right?
Go ahead, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Ken Gardner, 101 Scoter Avenue. The following comments are from Council President Ken Gardner. I still have my name plaque, by the way. I think it's a great thing that former council presidents are recognized. Wink, wink. These appeared in the Star Ledger in 1992, since we're talking about years gone by. Quote, "We are not building 3,000 condo units," unquote. Quote, "We kept our promise to change the direction of development in the town. We have told the developers there's not going to be any more rampant development." Gardner said the new land use law shows that we're concerned about controlling development. Mr. President, I led the effort before on the council, and I am prepared to do it again. But let me back up. I have another article here from the Home News Tribune. I'm sorry, it was the News Tribune at the time. October of 1991, when I was running for council. As a candidate, I said, we hope to look at what we developed over the last few years that qualifies as affordable housing. And then, as I said before, and really against incredible odds, I'm sure many of you remember, those of you who've been from town or read the paper back in those days, developers were suing communities claiming that they were trying to help the poor people get affordable housing. Well, they were building 3,000 units, or trying to, and giving a couple of units to the poor people. And so obviously that was not their interest. Well, we stopped them. Did I say, Mr. President, I'm sorry, did I say that we actually stopped the development of 3,000 multifamily units from being built? Now, we did that, and we inherited lawsuits from a previous administration. It wasn't an administration I was part of. This administration has been here for quite a while, right? Many on the council have been here for a while. Let me talk about the first ward specifically, because the development, I think it was Pirates Cove Marina, if I'm correct, the developer at the time that was suing us included that area. So specific to the first ward in the Seawarn section. The marina was part of the lawsuit where they wanted to build these multifamily. The plan that we put in place was one that the council stopped the developer from building even one unit on that property. Okay, now we worked as a council, we worked with consultants, we worked with the administration. We were able to find consultants to help us stop these developments. Mr. President, that was back in 1992, and until today, on that very same property, because of the rules that we put in place, there has not been one condo or apartment built on that property in all those years. So it can be done. I'm tired of hearing this stuff about 1970s regulations and we inherited this and there were studies. Well, if somebody else did a study, take a look at it, and if it's not good, put it back on the shelf. The development is out of control. As I said before, this goes all the way back to 1992. These projects that we're watching go up now are all self-inflicted projects. They're projects that this administration has chased after. Our first ward councilwoman, Drum, was in the best position sitting on the planning board since 2016 to stop them. But instead, at the council meeting, she was giving progress reports on what was happening. Nothing against all those projects. So they can be stopped. I know that there are more plans that are coming up. I understand there have been some plans withdrawn from the planning board, probably until after the election, to put more units here, to put more units behind the Hess property, to put more units right over the bridge into Seawarn. The people are so much, every one of you on the council has to know this. And I would ask each one of you, not just Councilwoman Drum, but each of you, you have an opportunity to say no and to stop these future developments. If we did a study in 1992 and had a consultant tell us that based on the vacant land back in 1992, we were able to stop those developers from forcing us to build multifamily units. Well, obviously, much has happened since then, so one would think that we have an even better reason now to stop them. But again, it's not that somebody is suing the town. The administration is requesting this. Councilwoman Drum on the planning board is voting to support it. The council is then voting to give tax abatements to support it. And I'm sorry, but, and I say this with not meaning any disrespect, it's just about a vote, not against anybody personally. Really, I admire each one of you on the council. I know that you've all done a lot of work.
Thank you, Mr.
But
Carter.
voting against these things is what really should be happening. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the council. Charles Prattville with Food and Water Watch, and I am here to speak about another type of development that I'm very concerned about. But first, I want to just make a respectful suggestion. This is my first time at a Woodbridge Township Council meeting, and I do believe that it's inappropriate to conduct this meeting in this room at this time. If you're going to insist on holding these meetings in person, I think you've got to find a better place to hold the meetings that can properly accommodate all the residents who want to participate and witness and speak. for example, a school auditorium, a theater, any larger room. This is not big enough to accommodate the people who want to be here. For the record, there are members of the public that are effectively being excluded from this meeting because of this decision. So I'd ask you to strongly reconsider that for future meetings. The only other time I was in this room was for a planning board meeting in 2018, where I believe the board made a terrible mistake. The board voted to approve a second gas-fired power plant in the Caseby section of Woodbridge. I was appalled how that meeting was conducted, but I'll spare you the story and I'll just focus on the issue. I am aware this council's already approved a long-term tax exemption for that project, but I think moving forward would be a mistake, and that's why we're asking the council to pass a resolution calling on the governor to reject the air permit application for this project. Straight from that air permit application, this power plant would emit millions of tons of greenhouse gases and significant quantities of toxic, poisonous chemicals every year that will negatively affect the health of residents here in Central Jersey and also Staten Island. There's more than 70 public schools within a 6-mile radius of this plant. As you know, there's already an existing 725 megawatt gas-fired power plant there. This would be almost doubling the emissions, and we're talking about 148.7 tons of nitrogen oxides, 123.6 tons of particulate matter, 110.3 tons of carbon monoxide, 49.9 tons of VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, 39.9 tons of sulfur dioxide, 77.6 tons of total suspended particles, 125.5 tons of ammonia, and 25.1 tons of sulfuric acid. Those are just some of the items that they are asking for permission to emit into the atmosphere. And as someone who lives about 6 miles away from this, I am strongly against it. I know there's others who want to be in the room to voice their opposition to it. I know there's some people here who may or may not be speaking about it, but I encourage you to listen to your residents and pass the resolution that I believe you were provided along with a letter. I also do want to ask about some promises that were made with the first power plant. Wasn't there supposed to be a waterfront park developed in association with the CPV plant that opened in 2016? I took a walk down there this weekend and I was told it's not public land and it certainly doesn't look like the park was ever built.
Ms. Darden?
Actually not true. The park is under construction and the property continues to be under remediation.
Well, I believe folks were told that the park would be completed around 2016. It was scheduled to be completed in 2016. What's the problem? What's the holdup?
That was the goal, and remediation continues, and it will continue until it's remediated to standards that are safe, such that the park can be open for the enjoyment not just of Woodbridge residents, but it's a rather large park, as I think you alluded to, and it will be a waterfront park, and it needs to be clean, and it needs to be safe, and the companies continue to remediate, and they'll remediate until that's complete.
Okay, well, I encourage you to oppose this plan. I believe some inaccurate information was given at a prior meeting. I watched the November 24th council meeting. Business administrator made a statement when asked if there were plans for another frac gas power plant. He said, quote, "There's nothing of the sort that we know of. There's CPV2, but there's nothing that has fossil fuels." And I'm concerned, was the record ever corrected? Are you aware of what the plan is? It is for a fossil fuel burning power plant that would emit all of these pollutants into the air. Are you, Mr. Council President, are you okay with this? Are you against this type of development?
Sir, what you're bringing up here tonight, I appreciate your insight and your concerns. However, the council, this is not a pending item before the council. It was already voted on in 2018. We have absolutely no jurisdiction at this point. It's under state and federal agencies, and at this point, it's up to them to approve this. And
I see
your
at least
time is
one
up,
state
sir.
official up there.
Your
so
time is up,
I hope
sir.
that somebody does something about this,
Thank you.
because this is not right.
Any other comments this evening?
Hello, the Woodbridge Town Council. I stand concerned resident of Middlesex County, that there are plans to build a frac gas power plant in the small town of Casey, which is part of Woodbridge Township. I wanted to bring this up to the public because it didn't seem like you were going to inform the public about this in your agenda. I would appreciate transparency about fracked gas power plants being developed near our homes. I understand that we are in a transition from using dirty fossil fuels to cleaner forms of energy, and that we will need to build new infrastructure. However, I'm concerned about the pollution that it will cause if the job is done sloppily and without proper accountability and oversight. We need to build solid, strong foundations for this paradigm shift in energy. Our infrastructure has to be solid to prevent catastrophes of pollution. Fracking pollutes our groundwater, and you and I know how important water is. We use water to do pretty much everything, to cook our food, to drink, to wash. Having clean water is very essential. Let me emphasize my concern that we are wading through new territory, and safety and preventative measures should be priority over your concern for profits. Prevent pollution, prevent catastrophes, make smart decisions with the health and safety of the public in mind. Thank you for your time here.
Ma'am, could I get your name, please?
Josephine Paredes.
Josephine?
Paredes.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Hello, my name is Anthony Crisapio. I'm a neighbor here. I live here in Woodbridge proper. I'm also going to be speaking a bit on the power plant that was just discussed. One of my most major concerns about this power plant discussion is we've just heard how much exactly it joins the air. And that's one of my major concerns, especially because not only do I live here, but also do my friends and loved ones. We know in the area that this power plant is planned, there's actually many schools as well in this area. And I think we should be taking into consideration as well the health of our young children in the area as well. That much area, that much kind of stuff going up into the atmosphere is never good. We know climate change is real, and I know many folks here believe that as well. And if we want to move to green and renewable sources in an efficient way, this is not the way to do it, especially when this is such a pressing issue. And finally, I would like to leave you with, when climate problems are not solved quickly, it becomes very quickly a public health problem as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amber Jarrett, Woodbridge proper. I too am here to speak about the power plant. It was actually myself that inquired about it back in November, about the approval of the power plant proposed to be built in the Kingsby section of Woodbridge, and I was told by the business administrator, as you heard, that it had nothing to do with fossil fuels. I'm here because, again, as others have said, I'm concerned about the lack of transparency with the public and the misinformation that was given. The definition of a fossil fuel is a fuel formed in the earth from plant or animal remains, including coal, oil, or natural gas. My understanding is that is what the second CPV plant will in fact be doing. Natural gas, I know, is often optimistically referred to as the clean or a cleaner source of energy, but that is arguably very misleading. It's true, a brand new, highly efficient plant is going to emit less than a coal burning plant, but it is not zero. It is not even close to zero. It also is going to emit methane throughout the process, from fracking to transporting to storing. In order for it to be cleaner than coal, it has to emit less than 3% of that methane. Most places it's 4 and as high as 9% at least. So there is pollution, and methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas that contributes significantly to global warming. So I feel like that's a misleading thing to imply that this is going to be a healthy, safe option for us. Not to mention the process of fracking, as was mentioned, and water and the contamination that happens in that. I know fracking is not occurring here, but it is happening in our neighboring state of Pennsylvania, and we're all part of a global, we're interconnected and we're all part of the problem. And by having plants like this, we're contributing to a larger issue. What else was I to say? I'm sorry. After the past year, I think we've all developed a deeper appreciation for simply being able to breathe, which means we should be doing what we can to protect that ability and to keep our air as clean and healthy as possible. My understanding is that this plant was already approved, but it's not too late as community leaders to reevaluate that decision, and you can take a stand by encouraging the state to not approve that permit and to move towards more, sustainable, renewable sources of energy in our town. The township website, in fact, boasts about renewable Woodbridge initiatives and its sustainable Jersey ratings. In fact, they recently posted themselves an article on the need to move away from our heavy reliance on fossil fuels. And this plant is in direct conflict with that vision. I mean, it's like, you can have all the great local initiatives like rain gardens and walkability and stuff like that, but when you're contributing to the bigger issue in a substantial way, you're just greenwashing. It's just performative, it's symbolic. It's like hugging a tree and saying, I love the planet. You're contributing to the overall problem. In fact, I was very disappointed to learn more about CPV itself, and that it was actually linked to a Cuomo aide who has been convicted of accepting bribes in excess of $300,000 from this actual company. Is this somebody we really want to expand our relationship with? I guess that depends on who you ask. Because I went onto the CPV website today, and I gotta find my picture. I was very dismayed because I don't want to misquote Mayor John McCormick, but he is on that website saying, I lost it, hold on. Basically, he would be more than happy to open 5 more plants for them, and he would do it tomorrow because they've been such a great corporate partner. Has he spoken to the residents of Catesby about that? I wonder if they feel the same way, if they would be enthusiastic about having 5 more power plants. Would Mayor McCormick be enthusiastic about having 5 of those plants in Colonia, where he lives? I doubt it. We all know that that section of town is predominantly lower income people of color. And this goes, again, with racial justice and what we do to people who are already more vulnerable children for like asthma and things like that. This isn't happening in Colonia, it wouldn't happen in Colonia. And I don't think Mayor McCormick would want it in his backyard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Reverend Donald Stewart, President of the Perkins Way Area Branch of the NAACP, which covers Woodbridge Township. Just one statement I want to make, and that is to inform you that the State NAACP Environmental and Climate Justice Committee has been brought up to speed on what has been going on regarding this plant and other issues, and they will sign on to a letter in favor of a moratorium in overburdened communities, which includes, as Amber stated, Catesby and other areas where minorities are not fairly treated as it relates to environmental and climate justice. So again, the NAACP, the state NAACP, will sign on to a letter asking for a moratorium on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Frank Trombatour, Strawberry Hill, and Woodbridge. Good evening to everyone. I'm here about this power plant. I hear a lot of things going back and forth. I spent 20 years in executive chemical management with pharma. I made everything from, my plants made everything from dope to varnish. So when it comes to pollutants, I think I know what I'm talking about. And what I wish to know is this plant going to have scrubber systems in order to keep down their pollutants? That scrubber systems have been in effect since the 70s. Are we going to have scrubber systems to keep down this pollutant? If we are, why are we complaining? The situation is this. We are a growing population. We don't have the electrical infrastructure to supply all the people that are starting to live here. Now, where are we getting the electricity from? Can't call Iowa. We can't tell them to plant another 100 acres of electricity. We can't get it from windmills. Please. I have people calling me 3 times a week. They've got a problem with the vanes of the windmills. They're only good for up to 10 years. They begin to crack. They cannot be recycled. they cut them in 3 pieces and bury them by the mile in Oklahoma and Iowa, and then they put our corn on top of them. So what did we save the planet if we're burying these weather vanes? What do we save the planet when we're burying these solar panels? They only last 10 years, tops, and we're burying them. My suggestion is, you want to put a power plant in? Get the DEP on top of them. Make sure they got the right scrubber systems in. That'll satisfy a lot of people. But this area needs electrical infrastructure, and we need power, especially if they want electric cars. Where's that coming from? You gotta make electricity. Come on. What's going on? Now, the one thing I'd like to suggest to the council, if you may have seen this, there is a company that has the technology to put, believe it or not, a turbine in the water mains. It doesn't pollute the water, and as the water flows through, it obviously turns the turbine, and it provides power to the town and its residents, and the township makes the money.
Excuse me, Council President. Mr. Cradaville, you have to...
I'm just taking pictures.
Yeah, if you're taking pictures, you have to do it from that box over there.
There's a difference between taking pictures and...
You have to do it from that box.
So you're telling me I can't take pictures from this seat?
No, correct.
Really?
We have an ordinance to that effect.
Yes.
An ordinance?
Dude, you're on my time.
I don't mean to interrupt you, sir.
12 o'clock, sorry.
Just trying to take pictures.
Gotta take pictures like.
But I constantly hear this NIMBY problem. I've heard it for 50 years. Not in my backyard. Where? Now let's think about Caseby. Are we talking about the area where Anaconda used to be? Are we talking about the area where Celotex was? I grew up here. I remember the plants that were along that river. And I've been up and down that river on my wave runner when I was young enough to have one. Which wasn't that long ago. I understand your dilemma, and I understand what they feel. But there are ways that we can keep the pollutants down, and we don't have to hurt anybody. And we have an industrial area there already. But if the township wants, I can try and get some more information on the water main turbines. It's up to you. Everybody knows how to get in touch with me. But I have to support you on this just as long as the DEP and EPA is involved and we have the correct scrubber systems in order to protect the residents. Thank you, council.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Hello, John Shue from Edison, New Jersey. So I just want to kind of discuss the power plant that's being discussed today. I was wondering if the town or neighborhood, if they are required to be notified of the power plant.
I'm sorry, sir, if the town what?
If the town is required to notify the residents of the power plant, residents in Woodbridge or Danbury or in that vicinity?
I don't believe we are required to notify the residents.
We don't have anything pending. We don't have anything pending here. So, as I understand it, any process right now would be with the DEP or the EPA. So the township has nothing pending.
Okay. Does the council currently have a position on the power plant?
It was already approved in 2018, sir.
Okay. So no further position. I think you can choose to pass a resolution commenting on the power plant if you like.
I will not be commenting on it this time, sir.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Now we're at Woodbridge. Right at the beginning, they were saying there was issued there were 2 plants put over there. Now, are we responsible for the rest of the Minnesota County for electricity? We have a power plant in Seward. We got one in Caseby. I just drove this morning across the bridge. It's beyond you because the Caseby is supposed to be behind God's back, like you say. Look at down this bridge over there, it looks like a hell zone. The dirt and stuff over there, steam, whatever is kind of the flame. People live there. It's very encouraging to see the show people come here, stand up, and speak up. We need electricity, like Frank said before. But why just in Woodbridge? You go up and down the Rainbow River, there's a lot of planes, there's a lot of areas that you could plant like this. They could have those pipelines from Buckeye here, there, whatever they want to do. Why just Woodbridge? And you can put a nice park next to the place like that. And all kinds of chemicals, you don't know what's there. You know what today is one thing too much, but depend on our filters, we know what happens to anything like this. You can't take a chance to spend some poison even something fails. You just can't do it. So again, there's other alternatives, just because somebody's going to make money and somebody's expense. In the meantime, we've been given down with abatements to everybody else except the taxpayers. Those people's taxes will not go down because they're next door to it, and somebody's going to make it up. So for well-to-do area, they're less for electricity because it's over here. So please pay attention to it. Just don't be a dumping ground that deep inside to say we are, because nobody takes advantage of other towns like they take advantage of Woodbridge. I just want to change the subject, something else. I have, quite a lot of people, and in some situations for the help. Some people need the help, and I fulfill over there. Some people couldn't get because of a disability. They could speak, they could not communicate, and I still put some help, and it did come up. And then, when I got there, took the German there, there was a trouble between interpretation of the language. So I was asking, can I go inside and help out interpret what was going on? He said, yeah. He said, yes. I got my vaccination patient hospital, and it was smooth, nurses, doctors, what you call them. When I got to Woodbridge Community Health, I was so impressed. The morale of the people from police department to first aid, those people were there. How did he actually get people in such a short time to be so professional, so be so trained to do these things, so polite to the people? And I tell you, when you look at it, they're not doctors, they're not nurses, but the way they took change, anybody could walk in there, you don't know who are, what they are, just with the co-op knows yes or no. But the way they did it, you can see they love what they did. They work as a team. And I'm just proud to feel how they organize such a group in such a short time. So those people should be recognized by you people, the council people, and of course the mayor, especially Phil, the way he did it. It's very well. I'm sure there's other projects run like this, but this is very well run. And I would tell people, don't be afraid. Again, I don't want to probably keep it. Listen, if you need help, call, Woodbridge, whatever else, and just as fulfilled. I don't want to take more time, but time is up, so thank you.
Mr. Vertara, I guess you hear every meeting, if not myself, Councilman Ficarra speak on the health department with the COVID vaccines and the health department. And we commend Phil and the staff because they've done a tremendous job since the last week of December through today. It runs like a clock, it runs like a machine. It's so impressive, but thank you for your comments. We all do see that, but it's nice to hear from somebody else.
But again, the people that you find there, I don't know, I'm sure they...
It's our health department employees, it was school nurses. It was a joint task force.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Good evening, James DeBrasco, Woodbridge Township. On May 1st, a damaging InsiderNJ.com article was published with the title, "I'm the Mayor, Everything's Mine." This headline is a frightening direct quote uttered by Woodbridge Mayor John McCormick and exemplifies the anti-democratic, dictator-like culture he has created here in Woodbridge Township. The mayor has unfortunately been enabled and emboldened by his hand-picked administration, who have sadly proven to be his loyalists and yes people, instead of serving as a system of checks and balances and representing we the people. You will never hear any members of McCormick's council, nor any member of any of his multiple hand-picked boards or commissions ever publicly disagree with him, or with one another for that matter. They know that if they dare go against Boss Mac, he will not forget it, just as the Insider NJ piece glaringly exposed. This toxic, narcissistic, corrupt excuse for leadership mirrors that of our absolute disgrace of an ex-president, an anti-democratic white nationalist who frighteningly has a strong base here in Woodbridge, including at least 4 of our 9 so-called Democrat council members and the Woodbridge PBA. You'd think the Middlesex County Democratic Organization might get involved and do something, or at the very least say something, but their chair, Kevin McCabe, is buddies with McCormick, as they're both members of the Woodbridge Old Boys Club. While I'm sure Big Mac is lounging up in his office right now, listening to this meeting in real time, I really wish he'd come down from his ivory tower and face us, as yet another giant gas-fired power plant that he plans to have built in Caseby, the least white section of Woodbridge Township, is simply unacceptable. While this plan has been quietly pushed under the radar by the McCormick regime, environmentalists have thankfully uncovered it and warned of the millions of tons of greenhouse gases and significant quantities of poisonous chemicals that will pour out of this proposed monstrosity, adversely affecting our health and the health of our future generations. But unfortunately, global warming, climate change, and environmental justice are all terms that obviously mean nothing to John McCormick, who was literally quoted on the Competitive Power Ventures Company website saying, CPV has been just a great citizen in Woodbridge, a great partner with the township. We love working with them. I wish they could open up 5 more power plants. I'd let them do it tomorrow because they've been such a good corporate citizen with us and have partnered with us. This is eerily similar to what McCormick said in that Insider NJ story about the Hess Corporation, stating, Hess is the best taxpayer we've ever had in the history of Woodbridge Township. They never repealed their taxes since 1992 when I was the CFO. If they want to sell their property for apartments, I'm all in. This is not okay. Corporations are not people, and they don't deserve preferential treatment at actual people's expense just because they've been good earners. On that same CPV Corporation website, where McCormick raves about what great Woodbridge citizens they are, the About Us section informs us that Competitive Power Ventures is a leading North American electric power generation development and asset management company headquartered in Silver Spring, Maryland, with offices in Braintree, Massachusetts. And when you click on the leadership section, you'll find that 14 of the 16 individuals pictured are white men, with 1 white woman and 1 black man. There is obviously no mention of a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, or anti-racism anywhere on their website, much like there isn't one on Woodbridge Townships, which the mayor has been running like a corporation instead of a community for far too long now. I wonder if Boss Mac or his council saw the CNN article from just a few days ago on April 29th, revisiting the terrible wrongful accusation, arrest, and imprisonment of Niger Parks, which highlighted Woodbridge's appalling racism in the national news for the 2nd time, but sadly not the last time, since the summer. I wonder if he or any of you would even care to see the accompanying video interview with Niger, considering the article informs us that in March, Mayor McCormick, his police director Robert Hubner, and the other defendants in Mr. Park's civil rights lawsuit against Woodbridge have quietly filed a motion to dismiss the case. Just an absolutely disgusting lack of accountability and transparency. Niger said in the follow-up interview that he still hasn't received an apology from anyone involved in his traumatic ordeal, stating, I've never heard anything from anybody else. No, we're sorry, we could have went about it in a different way. Nothing. He said he's still tormented by what happened to him. You took being comfortable away from me. I see police, I'm automatically shaken up, Parks told CNN. You proved to me that you can lock me up for anything, and there's nothing I can do about it. John McCormick is trying to prove to us that he can do anything he wants in Woodbridge, and that there's nothing we can do about it. I'm the mayor of this town, everything's mine. It's long overdue that we proved him wrong. Justice for Niger Parks, justice for Jeremiah Daniels Porter, Black Lives Matter, stop the Caseby power plant. Since I have 30 seconds, I want to ask, I don't see him here anymore, do we really want to take advice from Frank Trombatori, a guy who on social media announced a mask-burning fundraiser he's having for his Trump surrogate friend Tony Gallo, where he called our nation's first woman vice president a misogynistic slur. And I have the receipts for that if you'd like to see them. I don't think so. I don't trust anything a person like that would say on any issue, to be quite honest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tony Gallo's a fake Republican. He doesn't represent Republicans.
Sir?
Sorry, he's a fake Republican, Tony.
Are there any other
I hope
comments?
Coughlin destroys Gallo.
Excuse me.
Destroy him, Coughlin.
Are there any other comments from the public this evening?
Council President,
Aaron,
I'm sorry, you want to close now? I'll ask my question.
There are no other comments. Get a motion that the public comment portion be closed. Motion. Any comments?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Mitch. At this time,
Mr.
we'll go...
President, it's just one statement in regards. I recognize that we voted to approve that power plant a number of years ago. I recognize the tax implications that it brings into the town. A few things concern me. One is since we voted that in, there's been legislation, I believe appropriately titled Environmental Justice, that brings in, as Ms. Jarrett brought up, overburdened communities, which I feel that is part of. While I do recognize that it's somewhat water over the dam, I would wonder if administration could somehow at least express the concern of these people, whether it's in a letter or whatever it is. I would just, I would feel better about it if we could possibly do that. So I'm requesting that through you, Mr. President, and hopefully it'll go where it is. And then one other point I want to make, the term was used during the open portion of the meeting of abatements. I think the people are referring to pilots, which the first word of a pilot is payment in lieu of taxes, and it does bring considerable money into the town. If you have an elected official that's going to tell you they're going to lower the tax rate, they're not really speaking properly. Your goal is to minimize any kind of tax increases, try to stabilize it, and pilot programs attract certain businesses into the community that will contribute to the tax base. Of course, in the case of the power plant, you're always striking that balance. So thank you for that time. Sorry.
Thank you, Councilman.
Council President, I just want to acknowledge Council Ficarra's comments, and I'm in agreement with him regarding to send a letter to the residents acknowledging their concerns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 13 on my agenda, Marine 8. That is Port Reading fireboat is going back into service next week, so I just want to commend them. They worked very, very hard on that boat, and they've had much success with quite a few rescues over last summer. I remind everybody, number 16, our summer concerts are going to kick in at the end of June. Please go on our website. There's some fantastic shows. Everybody enjoys them. Come on out. Just two announcements. Happy Mother's Day, Councilwomen, and Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Have a nice day. And May 9th through 15th is National Police Week. Just ask everybody to recognize that. And to the Woodbridge Police Department, all our men and women, and to all the police officers who serve our country, God bless you. God bless America. Vice President Bauer.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. First and foremost, I would like to wish my fellow female councilmates an early Happy Mother's Day. To all those amazing mothers out there, enjoy your special day. Secondly, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you to all the educators for stepping up to ensure our students are safe and educated. Thank you for your hard work, your initiative, and flexibility during these trying times, and we appreciate all you do. Last, I have an announcement for the Forest business community. The first cruise night for 2021 will be Monday, June 7th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Located at 372 New Brunswick Avenue in Fords, the Sipperstein Paints parking lot. Bring the whole family. Performances by the European Dance School, DJ Richie Flash, music, food trucks, trophies, 50-50, free prizes, and more. Social distancing will be updated as all the guidelines to what Governor Murphy has changed up to that date. So at this time, social distancing masks are required until anything changes during the Governor's announcements. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Council President. Item number 9, the Barron Arts Center. The senior art exhibit is online to view. It can be seen on the Barron Arts Center page, the Facebook, Twitter, and the mayor's page. Also, Poets Wednesday is on May 12th at 8 p.m., and there will be open readings. Item number 10, the library. The public library has launched a series of business education programs, starting with a Grow with Google program on improving awareness of your business with Constant Contact at noon tomorrow, May 5th. On Thursday, May 20th at 7 p.m., the library will host a special virtual program by Zoom with Woodbridge Hometown Hero and Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, U.S. Army Colonel Jack H. Jacobs, who will speak on leadership and business. Visit the library calendar to register at woodbridgelibrary.org or call the library for more information. Also, one of the programs that I'm very proud that the library has put out, especially during this time when so many of our kids have lost a lot in not being in school in over a year, it's called Brain Fuse Help Now. On demand, anytime, anywhere, e-learning for all ages and learning levels. There will be virtual tutors available from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. daily. It's a free program, and anyone who has a library card can use it. Contact the Woodbridge Library for more information. Also, if the library cards are free, so again, visit. All of our branches are recently opened, so you can go to any branch to get a library card. Again, it's called Brain Fuse Help Now, on demand, anytime, for all of our kids in our township. Quiero desearles a todas las madres un feliz Día de las Madres. Happy Mother's Day to my fellow councilwomen and to all the moms out there. Thank you. That is all that I have, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman De Jesus. Councilman Spiller?
Thank you, Council President Small. Item number 5, I had the pleasure to attend today's Avenel Middle School's National Junior Honor Society induction program. I'd like to congratulate all the students on a wonderful accomplishment as they move through their high school years. And it was just so nice we were outside, but it was just so nice to see the kids, the parents, the staff, try to get these kids back to some type of normalcy. So I'd like to thank Ms. Ann and the advisor, who does an incredible job, Principal Short, Vice Principal Hugemeyer, and all the advisors and staff. That's all for my agenda this evening, Council President. Just a couple announcements. Mr. Shimaluka, I'll send you an email tomorrow. If we can have DPW and go over to Boynton in the area of basketball courts in the front, it needs some tidying up. And I know we did it at Peltzman. Maybe we can put some signage up. We have plenty of bins, but please use the bins. So thank you. I'd like to congratulate Avenel's own Erica LeGrand, who made the cover of NJ Business Week. Eric's business, Eric LeGrand's Coffee House, was featured as part of Small Business Week. You can visit www.njbiz.com to read the article. The coffee house is scheduled to open right down the road this summer in downtown Woodbridge. Thank you to all our emergency responders, fire, EMS, our Woodbridge Police Department, CERT, and all our Public Works employees. I'd like to say Happy Mother's Day to all our council moms, all the moms that might be in the audience watching. To my wife, Happy Mother's Day. And I think that's it. Be safe, be smart. God bless America. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. 1 second. Councilwoman De Jesus.
I would be remiss to say that Woodbridge Middle School also had their National Honor Society induction today, and I was there as a parent, so I want to congratulate all the students that were inducted into the Woodbridge Middle School, and thank Principal Pro and Vice Principal Harris for putting such a good program. And it was also outdoors, which was nice. After a year of not being able to celebrate our kids, it was just nice to be there in person. So congratulations to all the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Meehan.
Thank you, Council President. My agenda is in order. I just have one announcement. Woodbridge Addiction Services is presenting a concert on May 22nd from 1 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and it'll be held at Woodbridge High School. There'll be 4 bands. There'll be food and vendors and dancing, social distancing, and all proceeds will go to the Road to Hope that helps people trying to obtain sober living. If you would like to order tickets, you can go to www.everbright.com and you can buy the tickets there. They're $25. And I just want to thank the Public Works Department, Bobby Higgins. He and his crew helped me build a garden a couple weeks ago, and this past weekend we filled it with flowers, and it was for people that passed away from COVID in Colonia. So we made a little garden in Charlie Shaughnessy Park, and we had 22 families that showed up, sadly. I know there's more people, but it was an emotional morning. There was a lot of stories told. There was a lot of tears, but it was beautiful. And if anybody couldn't make it there that day, I'd be happy to meet them down at the park. I'll bring paint. You can paint a rock for your loved one. It's just a nice tribute. So thank you to Public Works for that. And that's Happy Mother's Day to everybody, to my councilmate and all the moms out there. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great job. Councilman Patel. Councilman Patel.
Oh, you should go somewhere.
You're up. Yeah, thank you, Council President. My agenda is also in order, but I have a couple of announcements. This month is Asian Pacific Islanders History Month, and those citizens who are from those countries, they are celebrating their contribution to this country, and I would like to thank and congratulate them. I would like to also share my prayers to those who are living in India, actually. They are hit with the worst, I would say, COVID pandemic. There are many people actually getting sick every day, and there are many of them dying every day. Their hospitals and basic treatment facility have almost collapsed. I would like to thank our country, US, and many other countries. They came forward to help India. And I would like to also wish Councilwoman, Happy Mother's Day, and also all those beautiful mothers out there, Happy Mother's Day. That's all for tonight.
But Council Patel, I know why you looked at me like I was crazy, because I went in the wrong order, so I apologize. Councilman Anderson, I apologize, but Councilman Anderson, you're up.
That's all right. That was the old look away, for the past, Magic Johnson. Thank you, Council President. I also want to acknowledge the National Junior Honor Society students in all the middle schools, in particular in Colonia Middle School, where my twin boys attend, and they were fortunate enough to be selected. One of the members of the council, Councilwoman Meehan, was very instrumental in arranging and coordinating a number of events that they could donate their time, and that's where kids are going around looking for opportunities to do their community service. And I think that's the biggest part about National Honor Society. Kids, the students, we all know there are students that are just very good students, and they're going to get their A's. And when you're applying to colleges, and also even before that, it's about what else are you doing? What else are you doing? Are you cleaning up your park? Are you participating in other township activities? Councilman Meehan coordinated an event for Meals on Wheels. She does that regularly. And also a food drive that was coordinated at Colonia Middle School. And my boys, my twins, got some great experience there. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to go to the job bank. Well, before I do that, on number 1, WTYRC, I want to acknowledge the Woodbridge Broncos, and in particular the Woodbridge Township high school football coaches. As you know, we had to forego our fall season, and we had a spring season this year for the Woodbridge Broncos. Well, it was a perfect opportunity for something that we've been talking about for a very long time, and how do we get the high school coaches more involved with these young men before they get to the high school. We were able to split. We had such a response. We split our teams into 2 teams, and we had such a strong response for the Woodbridge team. The Woodbridge high school coach came down and with a few of his volunteer coaches, and dedicated their time and volunteered their time to coaching the 8th grade team. And then on the other team, we had students that were going to Kennedy and Colonia, and they were coached by Coach T.R. Rorty and his assistant. We also had Coach Tarig Holman, who came down and helped as well. So it's been such a great response, but this is something that we've all, I know, Councilman Small, we've talked about it in recreation. How do we get our high schools more involved, our high school baseball, high school soccer, high school football, and even our cheer coaches and soccer coaches, so forth, involved in them while they're still in their sport before they get to the high school. It's been great. It's been, a lot of fun, and the coaches have had a lot of fun. The teams are playing on a national schedule, which is very competitive. They're seeing a lot of really good competition, but it's great seeing the coaches. They are developing the relationships with these students before they get into the high school. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm thankful to Coach Joe LaSala, Coach T.R. Rorty, and Coach Tarig Holman. Moving down to the job bank, the first item is Isco, Industrial Environmental Services. It's a provider located in Hope Lawn, and they're looking for free laborers, for $16 to $18 an hour, and drivers for $25 to $30 an hour. Solar Landscape, you can go on to solarlandscape.com/training program, or call the Division of Engineering at 732-602-6057. Central Jersey Federal Credit Union, right behind us, is looking for a part-time teller between 10 and 20 hours. They are looking for someone who's fairly flexible, but you can go on to www.cjfcu.org/about/careers. And we're also right on our website. You can click on the Woodbridge Township website, and if you're looking for a job as a substitute teacher, I have a daughter who just finished her sophomore year, so I think she'll be eligible to get a job as a substitute teacher. There are positions that are available, and I know that they're in high demand right now with the remote learning and schools getting back into session. Federal Express is looking for some ground warehouse workers. You can go to groundwarehousejobs.fedex.com, and that starts at $18.60 an hour. I do want to wish them happy Mother's Day. I do have a comment that I've been making some comments about diversity and inclusion, and I know that we have this resolution that's been talked about. I can recall a conversation I had with my father, who owned a home and was a businessman in Newark back in 1967 when the historic riots took place. I would often ask him what took place, what caused the riots, and he told me, he said, the way the climate was in the country at the time, every major city was vulnerable to some type of civil unrest. He would also mention that Newark had become more than 50% minority, but only held 5% of the municipal jobs. And this is something that is an area where we had a company come in and look at our township, do an investigation. Mr. Borowski, I will say I did come and publicly announce that I did disagree with the mayor. I disagreed with the mayor in the very beginning. I made it known in emails, but I am in agreement with regard to the resolution. Minorities were taxpayers back then, but could not even expect an opportunity to work for the city in which they resided because of clear nepotism. The nepotism became racism when those positions were denied from those employees, from those residents. And thus the riots happened. And Newark still sees the effect of those. There are still burned out lots in Newark. I have a lot of family in Newark. It never recovered from that. It's really been tough for that. So in 1999, when I was looking for a position as a police officer, I was approached, and I met with I believe he was a detective at the time, Detective Scanlon, and had a meeting with him. They were very actively looking for an African-American police officer because we didn't have any at the time. I was not selected, and the reason I was not selected was because they transferred 4 African-American police officers from another department. And this resolution allows for interdepartmental transfers. One of the transfers is a very close friend of mine. He served here as 14 years as a Woodbridge police officer. Prior to that, he was an East Orange police officer. He moonlighted in teaching administration at the time, and the day he retired, he ended up going up to East Orange School District as a school administrator. Councilman Small at the time was on the Board of Ed, was very instrumental in getting him down here as a vice principal for Woodbridge High School, and he then served after Woodbridge High School. He went back up to East Orange as the principal, and then went down to the Department of Education as the assistant commissioner, and now he serves as the superintendent of East Orange School District. What that says is that these alternate routes, they work, and sometimes you find talent that you didn't have in your town. And there are people, if they're vetted properly, you can bring somebody here. He was also a veteran as well, so it was serving two purposes. So I just want to say that, I'd like for everyone to understand this resolution is going to be coming up, and I'm in favor of it. And I want to continue to talk about diversity and inclusion and how what it means to every community. But I do think often about what went on in Newark and why that happened. So thank you very much. Okay. Also, for our job bank, I do want to, I neglected one thing, that Roosevelt's Deli in Fords is hiring right now. So if you're a deli worker or if you're looking to become a deli worker, please call 732-738-9399. And also, don't forget Jersey Boys Pizza on Avenel Street. They're going to be opening any day, and we will be there. Mr. Testa, Carmine Testa, is a high school friend of mine. We're rooting for him to be very successful, but they are looking for employees, bartender, servers, and anything that you'd see in a restaurant. So thank you very much. That's all I have. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers on the council and to the moms in the audience.
I just want to mention something about you foregoing your football season. You made a very intelligent decision very early.
Thank you.
Seriously. Councilman Ficarra.
Thank you, Council President. A couple of quick things. Before I start, I just want to mention that anybody that wanted to speak had the opportunity to speak, and if needed to be, we would have stayed here to listen to them. So I just wanted to make that point. Let me address some of the lighter things on my agenda over at the Woodbridge Community Center. It's a cool thing to do in the spring and summertime to go ice skating, and there's open ice skating on Saturdays from 1:45 to 3:15. Masks are required. Moving down my agenda, it is Senior Month, and there's a number of activities going on for seniors. Please check our website, and please check in with your senior centers, which are located throughout town. Also at the community center on Mother's Days, moms can get a free round of golf at our mini golf course as long as they're with their child and the child pays the child admission. That's from 12 to 9 p.m. Touch base with Dr. Nolan, and she reports that the police mental health program continues to run smoothly. Mutual cooperation with her department and the police has already connected hundreds of people with care that they need. COVID vaccine report is mentioned by Council President. There's been 40 clinics so far, 6,662 doses, 3,981 first doses, second doses coming up. As far as cases are concerned, 77 at St. Joseph's, 837 positives in state facilities, and then 11,312 from the community at large, totaling up to 12,226 cases. Effective April 19th, we now know that people 16 years and older are eligible. We do have vaccines available at our clinic at the health center. The next round is this Friday, May the 7th. I'm going to give you a number slowly, but you can check it on our website. It's 732-855-0600, extension 5004, and you can make your reservations. And we continually have clinics, and they're right here in our backyard.
Councilman, if I might, it's 18 years of age and older.
18 years of age and older. Yes, I'm sorry, I said 16, it's 18. I think, okay. I am reading what Mr. Green said, but you're right, 18 and over. Okay, I would just like to join the council in saying Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Of course, tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo, not as important as Mother's Day, and also joining Councilman Patel with prayers for the folks in India and any of our families here in town that have family in India. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilman Anderson?
I had one other mention that I missed. Middlesex County received a $25 million federal grant for emergency rental assistance to assist renter households that are behind on their rent and/or utilities. And that's for, as a result of COVID or anything that you may have experienced in the most recent months. Please visit www.middlesex.county.nj.gov/rental assistance. On that, you can find the criteria and who you need to contact. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just dropping down to number 3, in particular letter A. We had a very successful retail licensing meeting just about 2 weeks ago, so we'll be preparing renewals for you very shortly as soon as we start getting some of their tax documents to order. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simaluka?
Thank you, Council President. Under Administration and Finance, I have a tax and sewer overpayment, and I have a proposal for environmental services at 8 Port Reading Avenue. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Legal?
Nothing this evening, Council President.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.